Hey everyone, I'm back. So a lot's been happening over the past couple of weeks. I would say on the good news front, I'm officially done with radiation therapy, so very excited about that. And as you can see, my hair is growing back. So very happy to see things return to a semblance of new normal for me. So I am happy about that as well. On the bad side, I'm not gonna really gore you out right now, but I have started to lose my fingernails. That is a side effect of chemo, which I will get into for another video. So just kind of figuring out how to navigate through that one. But we are here today because I wanted to talk with you all about the next phase of my journey post-diagnosis, and that is the first step in my therapy regimen, which was my mastectomy. So knowing I had to have surgery, I had a couple of facts that I knew to be true. Number one, I am a proud member of the itty bitty titty community. And number two, I had a huge mass in my left breast. It was 8 centimeters big. So off the bat, I knew I was not a good candidate for a lumpectomy. I knew I had to have a mastectomy. The question was whether I have a single or a double. I ultimately decided to have a single, and there were two real reasons that drove that. Number one, that I did not test as a carrier of the BRCA gene. Typically, if someone does, then doctors will generally recommend a double mastectomy because the chances of recurrence or even new cancer are higher in that profile of person. And then number two, I learned through testing that I have a hormone-driven cancer. And so again, the solution there is not necessarily a double mastectomy, but the recommendation is that you go to the source, which is the hormones, and essentially block them so that they aren't feeding these cancerous cells so that they'll continue to grow in your body. So as part of my treatment plan, I'm actually going to go on to, they call it different things, endocrine therapy, hormone blockers. I'm going to go on that for about 5 to 10 years. And I'm actually starting that in about 2 weeks. So next phase of the journey forthcoming. But ultimately, between those two facts, it led me to really deciding that a single mastectomy might be the best option for me. With that said, I still signed up for a double mastectomy. The other part that I was really concerned with was the symmetry and the aesthetics. And my doctor quickly told me there is no reason why you should get a double mastectomy, just that you look better, because there are so many advances in reconstructive surgery and so many options of how you can choose to reconstruct your breasts to make them look similar, to make them have symmetry, to make them look aesthetically pleasing. So ultimately, I decided to do a single for those reasons. The couple of days leading up to my surgery, there was a whole regimen that I had to follow that would essentially prepare my body to reduce the opportunity for infection as much as possible. So I'd take a combination of pills and also do this body wash for a couple of days just to make sure that my skin was ready and I wasn't opening myself to any of those infections. So the funny story is that the day of, I had to wash myself with this antiseptic wash. I did my whole thing, I'm ready to go. The babysitter comes because my 7-month-old at that time had to be watched while my husband and I were at the hospital. I pick up my baby to give to the babysitter, and as I'm holding her, she throws up literally all over me. I couldn't help but think, when people say that they are walking down the street and a bird poops on them, it's good luck. I'm wondering if baby throw up is good luck for surgery. I don't know. But all I will say is I went under and came out of that surgery with no major complications, so I'm happy about that. So about the actual surgery itself, I had to go under general anesthesia, which means that they put a breathing tube down my throat. A couple of days after surgery, I definitely felt that. But the real goal that they had in my surgery was to remove the cancerous mass and whatever else they found in there, and also understand whether or not the cancer hit my lymph nodes or not. If the cancer does hit your lymph node, there is a chance that it could have spread to other parts of your body, so it's something that they absolutely need to know. The way that they can tell that is by analyzing the sentinel lymph node, which is the lymph node that's closest to your breast, And they can tell which lymph node that is by doing what they call an ink test. They drop some ink into your body and they watch the path that it flows. The first lymph node that it hits, they remove and they test right there while you're open on the table. So my doctors removed my mass and then they tested the lymph node. The lymph node came back positive, so they removed the entire bunch of lymph nodes in that area to test all of them to see which ones came back positive or not. And all of that would be determined after the surgery. But for the time being, for the purposes of this surgery and what they actually did, they removed that lymph node, they removed the mass, and while they were in there, they also found the tumor. So I was prepared going into this for a mass being removed, for this being DCIS. But while they were in there, they quickly realized that I actually had both DCIS and IDC, and that I also had lymph node involvement. The other consideration point for me that I also wasn't prepared for was my nipple. They could not save my nipple because the mass was so big and it was so close to the nipple. Chances that my nipple did have cancerous cells and cancerous tissue in it was very likely, so they removed the entire nipple too. I will say that what I was most upset with coming out of that surgery was the lymph node involvement as well as the loss of my nipple. Because I knew that that meant that my expectations for my journey to end with surgery was not going to be the case, and that there was going to be more things that needed to happen. So the recovery in the days following my surgery wasn't terrible. I do remember having some notable pain the first 24 hours, which I took medication for. I want to say I probably stopped using medication around day 3 altogether, just to manage my pain. There were other impacts too, as far as just the lymph node removal. They had to put drains on the side of my body that would collect the fluid that lymph nodes would normally process and have. So I had to go through for about 2 weeks, emptying those drains, checking the amount of fluid in there, until it got to a point that the doctors cleared them to be removed. But they were just annoying. You can't really do much with them. You have to find a pocket to stick them in. And the biggest thing for me was that I have these little babies, so I couldn't hold anything heavier than a gallon of milk. So I couldn't hold my babies. I couldn't do anything. I also didn't have full range of motion because my lymph nodes were removed. So there's just a lot of not pain healing, but just body healing that I had to do. That was probably a little bit more grueling than I anticipated, but overall it still wasn't terrible. So that's my mastectomy journey. Next time we'll be back and get into chemo and what that experience was like for me. I more or less started that, I would say, about 2 months after I was done with my surgery. So thanks for tuning in. Until next time.